Sonic Racing Crossworld is out now on all platforms, a brand new racing game that brings together a whole range of Sonic characters, as well as a growing roster of characters from other Sega properties and other things in general through the season pass over the coming months. And it creates a kart racer that has been phenomenally well received across all platforms. A lot of people have been talking about it, and the biggest thing is that there's an ongoing debate as to whether it's even better than the latest Mario Kart offering. I'm not going to personally comment on that. I'm not the biggest Mario Kart expert in the world. What I am a pretty big expert in, though, is a certain blue hedgehog called Sonic. I played both the closed network test and the open network test for Crossworlds this year. I have already sunk about 20 hours into the game through Deluxe Edition Early Access. I am in love with this game, and I really want to talk about it in some kind of review format. So basically, if you've been seeing mentions of Sonic Racing Crossworlds, or at least had heard about it in passing and the really strong reception it's getting, I thought what I'd do is, for people who either have already played it and just want to hear my thoughts, or are maybe interested in finding out more, I'm going to give you a bit of a rundown as to how the game works and why it is easily some of the most fun I've had playing games in 2025. It is genuinely a standout experience. But if you are new to the channel, hi, my name is Troy, also known as Red Archer Live, and I would greatly appreciate it if you click the subscribe button to stay up to date with future content, whether it be Sonic or Payday or anything else I decide to talk about. I'd really appreciate your support. And feel free to leave a like if you enjoy the video, and comment down below. Are you playing Sonic Racing Crossworlds? Are you going to get it? Whether you're playing it or not right now, I'd love to know your thoughts on the game. And one thing I should also just include here is if you do want to see me talk about Sonic Racing Crossworlds in any other way, like reporting festivals or just playing it for fun, please do let me know. As I said in my video talking about coming back to making content, I don't really know how to make content on a racing game beyond this review. I'd love some ideas if people do want to see more from me. I am actively trying to think of ways to do more with this game. So as I said, Sonic Racing Crossworlds is a brand new kart racing game in the Sonic franchise, and Sonic's had a lot of racing games over the years, whether it's the original 90s classic Sonic R, whether it's the Sonic Drift games, Sonic Racing Transformed, or my personal favourite, the Sonic Riders series, my favourite being Zero Gravity, which I think is apparently a hot take, but I put so much time into that on the PS2, an uncomfortable amount of time. I adored it. Jet the Hawk, one of my favourite kind of side characters in this franchise. He's even chilling back there next to Super Silver. I love him a lot, okay? But the biggest part of Riders was the extreme gear, the hoverboards that the characters use in those games, and we haven't seen them since Free Riders, I think over 10 years ago now at this point. But this game brings back the extreme gear, the hoverboards, as well as the transforming vehicles from Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed, but it means that you have the elements of Sonic Racing Transformed combined with Riders, where you can have different types of vehicles, hoverboards, cars, little mini cars, big monster trucks. You travel on land, sea, and air, and you're going through a whole range of courses in the Sonic world. But perhaps the biggest kicker of that is the Crossworlds mechanic, what the game is named after, and it's easily the best thing this game has going for it, because if you're not aware, the Crossworlds mechanic allows you to have a completely different second lap compared to the first and the third. There's a particular racetrack you'll go on for the first lap, then at the end of the first lap, whoever's in first place will choose the next course to race on for the second lap. It might be a uniquely designed Crossworld that is only built to be a lap 2, or it could be one of the other general courses in the game that you just go round for a lap. Once you've done that, you go back to the original racetrack, and often it's changed somewhat to accommodate for the difference between lap 1 and lap 3. So every lap is in its own way quite different, but it's that second lap which, especially as a Payday fan, that RNG and the randomization of never knowing which one you're going to get is so entertaining. It's such a fun mechanic. According to my stats, I have already done 200 races just since the game's come out on Early Access for Deluxe Edition, and I have not got anywhere close to tired of how that game works. I am loving it to death. It is so much fun. It's got single player modes, it's got multiplayer, and there's a whole heap of customization from character choice to vehicle choice to how you modify the vehicles to how you decorate them. There is some really fantastic deep customization and just options to play the game that make it really fun. And speaking of the roster, I'm really glad to see such a good range of Sonic characters in the game. I mean, not every single Sonic character is going to be in this, obviously. I mean, there's a lot of them. I've seen picks like Chaos and Infinite and Mephiles and all sorts of people that could have been in the game that haven't been. Maybe they'll get added down the line, but you've got a lot of characters from older Sonic games, the ones that have kind of popped up but not had much to do in recent years. A big one for me is seeing all three of the Chaotix, Espio, Vector, and Charmy, all in this game, all having kind of unique personalities. Espio's a kind of an underdog favorite of mine from how he's been presented and also voice acted in this game, but also more modern characters. I'm a massive Sonic Frontiers fan. It is my favorite game in this franchise, and Sage is one of the most interesting characters the franchise has done in a while, at least in my opinion. Her getting a bit of attention there in that sense, I really like. I like that they're trying to add a few different characters in from different points in Sonic's life, and also have them all interact with each other, bounce off each other, funny one-liners, or insulting each other when they attack each other. There's some really good stuff that can just happen moment to moment in racing. If you're not a Sonic fan, it's just a bit of extra flavor to a kart racing game you're probably enjoying, but if you are a Sonic fan, it's just even more of a way to get involved. You know, those extra voice lines you hear between characters, or even as characters are flying into new places. I've heard Sage make comments about cyberspace, or Sonic going into white space from Shadow Generations and protesting that he should have already fixed this and he shouldn't even be here. I really love when games have attention to detail and make you feel absorbed in the world, and this one's really put the time into it. And if nothing else, the marketing Sega's put behind it, almost trying to revive the whole Sega does what Nintendo don't thing from the 90s. It's clear they know they've got a winner on their hands, and the review scores and the way people are talking about it only further cement that. The only downside is it doesn't have any kind of story or campaign, but it's very clear that the racing team and Sonic team, when they were making this game, wants to focus on making the actual racing good rather than coming up with the story for the sake of it, which is what they kind of did with Team Sonic Racing, and it shows. It shows that they've put the effort into the racing and made that fun, so I think it was a good trade-off. So let's talk about some of the individual game modes and why I think they work so well. We have first off Grand Prix, which is easily the standout of single player, at least for me. You have 7 core Grand Prix that go across all the main maps in the game, and then one secret one, which isn't really secret. You can see what it is from the very start of the game, but that one is made up of tracks from the more recent games like Frontiers, Superstars, and Shadow Generations. But in every Grand Prix, there are 4 races, 3 different tracks, each one having a Crossworld in the middle, and the final race is 1 lap in each of the 3 you've just played on. It's a really clever mechanic and allows you to go through a few different maps, some original, some from previous Sonic games, whilst also sprinkling the Crossworlds mechanic in, and all the while building up points across these 4 races to come out as the champion of the Grand Prix. But what's even more exciting about that is you have a rival feature within it. Another one of the best parts of this game, especially for single player. At the start of every Grand Prix, you are given a rival of a particular level. You can stick with it, upgrade the level, or completely customize the level beyond what they give you, or even the character if you want. And at the start of every race, you'll have a bit of back and forth banter between the characters unique to their interactions and what they might say to each other, and then through the races, you're trying to score ahead of them as well as win the Grand Prix. It makes for very interesting gameplay, especially when you have really high level rivals. I have tried some races against some of the highest levels, and it genuinely is very difficult to win. I've played against all 23 of the rivals in the game because when you do so, you unlock Super Sonic, so I made sure to unlock that as fast as I can, mainly because Super Sonic is just incredibly broken because he can't be hit by any gadgets, so makes it very easy to stay in front once you're in front, and quite satisfying, especially when you want to try and face some high-level rivals and not feel quite as stressed. I like easy gaming, okay? I'm a simple man, but genuinely Grand Prix is where I've spent most of my time in the game so far. It has a multiplayer mode that I will talk about, but I think the fact that the single player is as appealing as it is testament to how fun this game really can be, that you can just get absorbed in the single player and kind of lose track of everything else the game has to it. But beyond that, you've got 2 other modes. You've got Time Attack, which is very much your standard affair. You're trying to go around the courses as fast as you can, but there's some really cool mechanics to that too. You can do every single individual course as well as every Crossworld, and within that, if you manage to pull an A rank, which is not as easy as it sounds, you get soundtracks added to your Jukebox, and that allows you to pick music that's playing during certain races. So the more tracks you get A ranks on, the more songs you get, the more options you have when you're racing around in, I think, just single player. I don't know if it applies to online. I actually haven't tried that. I'll have to. But it makes for some really interesting things. You can put different playlists on, and then randomly something from Sonic Riders might start playing during a Crossworld, but normally it'd just be whatever the track's theme is. It's a really cool thing, and also for a franchise that is known for having such amazing music, which Sonic always does, it never seems to fail there, it's really nice to have a feature that makes full use of that. My only feedback there is I really wish you could pick specific songs. Right now, it's you pick certain groups from certain selections of games, and it will pick one randomly when you go into a race. The quality of life feature, I think they probably could patch and fix down the line, and I hope they do, because I want to play specific songs sometimes, and I'd like to be able to have that option. They've literally made special versions of specific songs to play during like first laps or final laps that use specific bits of the song at the right time to line up with laps, so I want to make the most of that feature. It's been really well designed, it just needs to be a little bit more selectable. The other thing you've got is Race Park, which I actually thought until the time I recorded this video was only single player, which is why I'm now recording a new thing, because I just discovered it's not, and I'm very glad, because it was like the one big criticism I had for the game. Race Park is kind of like a more party-based mode for the racing, so you can do your normal quick matches, but you can do ones where it's 6v6 or 4v4v4, add extra rules in, like getting more points if you hit more enemies or if you go over dash pads, and you also are challenging a rival team rather than a singular rival in Grand Prix. You can do it on your own if you want in single player, but you can also do multiplayer. You can party up with up to 3 other people, much like going into normal online matches, which we'll get to later, but it allows you then to face those rival teams as a group or just have party games yourself. And I think it's really cool. I genuinely thought that it wasn't a multiplayer option. It wasn't super clear to me, but if you go into online and pick a friend match, you can then choose the race park if you want to. And I'm really glad because it means it's another different way to play the game. And on top of that, I really like that you can earn the tickets, the currency that I'll also talk about later in this video, through playing private matches, whether it's the race park or just individual matches with your friends with no other AI, you still earn the race tickets. I love that no matter how you choose to play, single player or multiplayer, all the options are open to you and you'll not be suffering for picking certain options over other ones. I think it's really, really cool. Race parks are a really fun addition to the game. I like it a lot. And it's cool that I can play it single player or multiplayer. It's another way to bring friends on and say, let's give this thing a try. It's challenging. I've got some gameplay where I put the rival level down to minimum, and at one point I lost one of the rounds I was playing. And I'm still actively checking them out at the minute. I've been so absorbed with Grand Prix and some multiplayer that Race Park's been a relatively recent thing I've tried in my playtime, but it's just fun to have different ways to play the game, so I really like that. But speaking of the multiplayer mode, it's very, very standard. It is literally just partying up in a lobby with some friends if you wish. You can have up to 3 friends with you, party of 4, going into online races, but you go into matches of 12 people and go crazy. There's a voting system every time you get into the main lobby, and it is hilarious that certain maps always get voted for when they appear. Apatos, I think is how you say it, from Sonic Unleashed, being one of the most popular ones, mainly because of all the memes from the beta of people stuffing monster trucks into that opening corridor, but also Radical Highway, which it's memed about at this point that it comes back so much, especially in Shadow Generations, but it's a really cool map, and as a racetrack, it's fantastic. It's one of the standouts of this game easily. It's so much fun. I absolutely love it. So it's really fun just kind of watching certain maps get picked out, but you do get a lot of variance. Even when a lot of people pick particular maps, it does happen where the one that got a couple of votes out of the 12 will be the one that's picked. So you do get some good variance there, but there's a good gameplay loop of constantly going back around and getting your tickets to pick up to grind, either to buy car parts or whether it's to put into the friendship system, something that allows you to get unique stickers, name badges, things like that, even skins, AI versions of skins from the race park for characters you love. The grind to it is quite notable. I mean, like I said, I've had 20 hours playtime in it and I've nowhere near maxed out one of the friendship levels yet, and there's 23 Sonic characters, so I wonder a little bit about the ticket economy for the game. I think even if you're grinding it, it's going to be a bit much to try and get anywhere close to what you need, so I do wonder if they might add more ways to get more tickets down the line, or at least make things a bit more forgiving on that front. I don't think it's bad right now, I just think it could maybe be buffed a little bit. But all in all, it just makes for a really fun experience. It is just such a fun game because every single race genuinely does feel different. I think that's what I love most about this game. You bring everything together and you've got all these different modes that are interesting and will suck up your time in different amounts. You've got an excellent single player, and for racing games, single player these days at the very least is often not what draws people to racing games, at least not me, because online multiplayer is one of the most fun things. Racing against people around the world, partying up with friends, having a good time. Genuinely, I've wanted to play a lot more of the multiplayer races, but I have been so drawn to the Grand Prix and the time trials and race park that I've put nowhere near as much time into the multiplayer. It's really cool to have several different modes that are engaging and really fun, and I've not got bored of them. I think it's so enjoyable. And another good thing about this is if you're watching this and you're not a big fan of Sonic, I don't think you have to be to play this game. There are loads of little details and Easter eggs like the rival dialogue that is perfect if you're a Sonic fan, but also just going into this not knowing about Sonic or not having too much of an experience with the games, you'd feel right at home. The fun is the kart racing of it, the banter between the characters and having a great time racing round, and that's enough. There are going to be other characters that will draw you in if you're a SpongeBob fan or a Minecraft fan. Bear in mind a lot of the DLC characters, or nearly all of them, bar I think Hatsune Miku, who's in the game right now by the way. Hilarious that she's in there right at launch, but most characters do not have voice lines. It's a real shame, whole licensing thing. They basically decided that either they get the characters in with no voice lines, or they try and do voice lines and licensing issues cause it to fall apart altogether, and I get it. So whether you're a fan of Sonic or a fan of some of the things they add, you've got that going for you, but also if you're not, I just think it's a fun kart racer. It definitely feels like Sonic's take on Mario Kart, if you can say that, because did Mario Kart even really originate the kart racing thing? I don't know if it did. It feels like Sonic really trying to do its own thing in that world, and I think it's really paid off. I really do. Crossworlds is easily the best Sonic racing game I've ever played. I like it more than Zero Gravity. I've always been a bit of a fan of Sonic R, but that's for nostalgia if nothing else. No, objectively that game's not great, but I just think Crossworlds really does stand out as something new and something fresh. And if you're at all interested in having a fun racing game, you can play crossplay with friends with a good single player and a good multiplayer. I cannot recommend this game enough. That's my thoughts on Sonic Racing Crossworlds, a genuinely fantastic kart racer. If I was giving it a score, I think I would probably place it at a 9 out of 10. There are a couple of small things, like nitpicks that I have with things that I've mostly mentioned in this video anyway, but genuinely, I know a really good game when I see it, and this is definitely it. It is easily one of the best games I've played this year. It is a fantastic party game, and it's really nice to have something that I can just go back to and crank out a few races if I feel like it. That's going to be a really fun thing to keep coming back to, especially as the game keeps getting new additions over the next year. My biggest hope is that they add a lot of interesting Sonic characters as free content. We know there's going to be a lot of free drops across the next year. I'm really hoping for Infinite and Mephiles. Coolest villain designs. Even if their games were not the most popular, I really want to see them added, so who knows. Thank you all very much for watching this review. As I've said, if you enjoyed it, please do click like and subscribe to the channel. Comment down below, let me know what you think of Sonic Racing Crossworlds. I just think the game's fantastic. I think it's really, really cool, and I'm excited to keep playing it. And I might do some streams on it too, so feel free to check out my Twitch if you want to catch some streams for it there. But until the next video, thank you all very much for watching. I greatly appreciate it, and I will see you all soon. Take care, and enjoy Sonic Racing Crossworlds if you're playing it this weekend.